Hello everyone, welcome to Tech with Machines. Today we are going to talk about one of the AI innovation, Model Context Protocol or MCP, and we will understand how it is unlocking smarter AI connections. Model Context Protocol is actually revolutionizing the AI world. This is how now your AI have become agents or assistants, and they are able to talk to any database, API or external resource which you want for them to be aware about. Let's say if you had sales data and you wanted your LLM to have that knowledge so that it can generate charts or reports on that sales data. Now you had two ways. Either you create a custom code to act as a bridge between your LLM model and your sales data, or you provide that sales data manually as an instruction to the LLM model. But MCP made it possible for you and acted as a bridge between your AI model and your database. So MCP is becoming a universal framework or a protocol which helps AI models to become context aware or become aware about the current state of events instead of just having the static frozen knowledge which they had at the time of training. Now let's talk in details about the foundation of MCP, what were the limitations of AI which led to the discovery of MCP, as well as what are the core three pillars of MCP architecture with a very simple example. Now what is the foundation? What is MCP? It's a open standard which was launched by Anthropic in 2024, and it has fundamentally changed how LLMs interact with the resources. This protocol or this is a framework, it's a universal framework which is actually becoming an enabler for an LLM to securely and efficiently interact with external data sources, tools or services. So it has ensured that your AI model is becoming more context aware, is also having a dynamic knowledge about the current state of the world. By becoming a standardized approach, it has become a fundamental and it's an open standard. By becoming a standardized approach or by providing a standardized approach, it has also provided a secure integration with external resources. It does have the authentication and routes requests to correct tools and servers, as well as at the same point of time, it secures the communication between the LLM model and your resources so that your data is protected well at the point. Now, what are the challenges? Why MCP mattered? What are the limitations of the AI at the point? So, first of all, your LLM is based on a training or on a frozen knowledge. So, it might have captured the knowledge only up to the training data, making it obviously oblivious to the recent developments of the current events or the real-time changes in data. So this is one of the limitations which has prompted the MCP development as well, so that you can make LLM aware about the changing information or the changing knowledge to capture the real-time information. Also, they can't independently, or you can't create so many APIs or so many frameworks for traditional AI models to directly interact, right? So there has to be a fundamental or there has to be a universal protocol which allows AI models to interact in a specific or a standardized way. So if MCP would not have been there, AI models could have only generated the text responses. They would not have performed actions like sending emails, updating databases, or triggering workflows, or there could not have been any agent so far. So now the MCP has allowed a LLM to become an active assistant instead of a passive advisor. Now, how does the architecture of the MCP look like? And we'll end it with a very simple example. I want to keep it a very short because there are a lot of videos on MCP, but I just want to talk about how does MCP really work, what are the three pillars in MCP, how does the architecture look like for the MCP. So MCP has a three-tier architecture. We can call it a three-tier architecture where every component is playing a crucial role in enabling a seamless communication between an AI model and an external resource. And because of this architectural design, it ensures that it is a scalable secure and flexible for various use cases. So you have first of all an MCP host, an application environment where, or an AI interface or primary interface for AI interactions, where you're actually talking either to a chatbot or to an ID, where you're actually writing your thought for that AI to provide or to do. Then you have an MCP client, which is actually understanding what you have written, becoming a coordinator between the AI model and the external services to get the information which is required to handle that particular request in a more secure way, and also takes care of handling errors, if any. Now, MCP server is the one which is actually talking to your databases, getting the response and giving it back to the MCP client. So that is what is allowing AI model to access the real-time information. Now, in practice, what will be a simple example of an MCP? So let's try to understand MCP through a very practical example. Let's say you wanted to do some kind of a task, and let's take an example of you wanted to send a sales report. You are a product analyst or you're a sales analyst. You're going to send a sales report to your manager. Now you will just ask AI that act on my behalf and send the latest sales report to my manager. Then for that, your AI LLM model has to have the information of this data, the sales data, which is particularly about your business. And it also has to have the knowledge about the email ID of your manager, so that it can act on this instruction which you have provided it, right? So firstly, what it will do, it will use a MCP client to discover the tool which will be used to send this or do this task, like a database where you can get that sales data and generate a report and then finally send it to the manager. So data retrieval will happen through the MCP server. It will query the database, extract the sales data, sales metrics and report data, and finally the action execution AI will perform by creating a professional email and sending it to your manager. So that's how MCP works, and that's very pretty simple example of an MCP. Now if you want to get started with MCP, you have, and if you're a developer, you want to get started with MCP, you have various tutorials available, and we will also cover one of the coding examples for the MCP, how to create it. But there are two preferred languages, either Node.js or Python, you can use to create an MCP server and integrate it with any LLM which you are using. Anthropic also has a quite extensive tutorial on how to use MCP, and there's a Flask MCP servers as well, which can be used to or there is a fast API MCP server as well, which can be used to create an MCP server and finally integrate with any tool. Recently, I participated in one of the AI hackathons to create an autonomous agent, and I used a BigQuery MCP to connect to a BigQuery table, as well as I also used a Qdrant MCP to connect to a Qdrant. So it's an extensive open source community, developers community who have been building 1,000 plus or 10,000 plus open source connectors. So I think most of the resources now have an MCP interface for LLMs to interact with it, and that's gonna be the future of AI anyways. So I hope you like this video. I've kept it short and I want to make more extensive videos on this MCP, and if you did like, please subscribe, as well as please feel free to give the feedback as well as comment down, so it helps me to improve further. Thank you so much.